Welcome to the studio, it's Froyle here and I'm so glad you've joined me. I'm pretty excited today because we're pursuing our adventure with gel print plate collage. So I've been working with the technique of jelly printing on the beautiful big Gel Elf 16 by 20 plate and putting collage paper on it, building up the layers right on the plate and then pulling the print one big final pull to create this beautiful textured paper ready for collage. The first two turned out absolutely stunning. I was so happy with them that I put them both onto canvas. You can have a look here at the videos and I'll put a link in the description under this video if you want to see those other episodes. So today I thought I would push this technique a little bit further and add an image transfer right on the gel plate on the very first layer before I add some more paint to it and before I add the textured collage papers. It's going to be pulled off in one big pull. And I'm pretty excited to try this. So the first thing I'm doing is pulling out one of my beautiful images from Venice. Wonderful Venice. It was a fabulous time I had with my son. Must be 2 years ago now. I took a whole series of photos of beautiful doors and you can find these images in my Doors of Italy digital collage paper. You know where that info is going to be. This one is one of my favorites and I'm putting it on the plate with a color laser copy print. You can't do this particular technique with an inkjet print because it just won't work. You need the toner that's built up in the color laser copy prints so that it resists the paint and causes it to stick to the plate, creating our fabulous image transfer. Now you need good dark and light contrasting areas for a good clean image transfer print. So in this particular print, only those shapes of the windows and the doors really turn out strong in coloring because they have the darkest colors on it in the print. The lighter areas, you don't see it because it absorbs the paint. But I think it's a fascinating texture and the image transfer turned out really well. Now I decided I didn't want all of this paint on the plate, so I just wiped it off. Easy peasy. You can adjust these image transfers to exactly how you want them to be. Then I'm adding my favorite transparent red iron oxide, a very light layer on the plate. It's beading up a little because there must have been something on the surface. Now you want these layers to absolutely dry in between so you're building up the colors, otherwise it all just smudges together. Now when the first layer of that beautiful color was dry, I put on some golden fluid Titan buff, a light layer on it and sprayed it with water because I want that watery textured layer to break apart so you can see underneath the paint colors and the color that's going to come on top as well. It just disperses it, makes it more transparent. Yes, you do have to wait for this layer to dry. Giving it a spray with water really does disperse the paint and the texture looks amazing. I love it. It's one of my absolute favorite techniques. Now, because we're creating fabulous jelly print collage, I'm putting on some craft paper. Now, I start with the very smallest pieces because whatever you put down on your plate first is what's going to be on top when you flip it up and pull that print. So I want these little pieces to be on top of my collage paper in the end, so they have to go on first. Then I'm putting on some of my fabulous dissolved National Geographic paper. I love this. I pulled my box out recently and I've been going through it. The original papers do still smell of that citrus smell, but I love using them and they're fabulous for this technique. Now, if you don't have any original dissolved Nat Geo papers and you like these colors and this technique, you can have a look. In the description under the video, there'll be a link for digital dissolved National Geographic papers and I use them to cover the edge of the canvases when I'm finished because they're so easy to use. They don't smudge, they look fabulous and they're great colors. So if you can't get the Citrusol, or you don't have the space, or it just smells, or you just don't want to make it, have a look there at the digital version. I'm also putting on some other craft papers and building up this layer of collage. Now that I've got my plate fully covered in all of these layers, we've got the image transfer, we've got the splashy colors of paint, and we've got the collage paper. Now I'm putting on quite a thick layer of iridescent bronze fine. Now I'm choosing this color because it is my favorite, but also because any pieces that have gaps in between the papers or from the paint, or any areas that haven't been covered yet, are going to show through with that beautiful bronze magic color. And then I'm putting on a piece of wet strength tissue. Now, what I learned from the very first time I tried this technique was that it takes quite a while to dry. So I like to put the papers and paints on in the afternoon in my studio, where I can leave it to sit overnight. I have definitely found it works a whole lot better if I can just walk away from the studio, leave the gel plate overnight on my table to completely dry, and then when I come back in the next morning, it's ready to pull off the plate. And for me personally, that is definitely the best plan of action, because I get impatient otherwise and I want to pull it up and just see how good it looks. Now, when I'm pulling up the paper, I have found that turning it over and pulling the gel plate off the paper works out better than trying to pull the paper off the plate. I don't know, man, it just releases easier. That I have found it to be so, because I do have a 16 by 20 inch gel plate. It's quite big and the layers are quite thickly glued together, so you do have to give it a good pull off that plate. So pulling the gel plate off the paper works a lot easier. And I absolutely love this print. Eureka! It just turned out so well. The image transfer is clear. The colors are beautiful. The textures, the splashy paint on the surface has just worked so well. And what I love about it is the way the beautiful textured collage papers are really embedded with the paint layers. I absolutely love how this print turned out, this fabulous jelly plate collage technique. I'm just loving it right now. And when I find a technique that I really love, I have to keep trying it. Now, the image transfer turned out beautiful, don't you think? I absolutely love my doors from Venice. And all of the other papers and the Nat Geo papers and the little craft papers, they've all come together really beautifully. Now, what I did with this one was splash the paint on. After I did the image transfer, I put these splashes of paint on the plate and I sprayed it with water. I then added some of the Titan Buff and sprayed that. And what it's done is create a uniform color and texture over the whole piece. So instead of all of these little separate pieces looking like separate bits that I put on the collage, they've actually all meshed together because of that common color and texture that covers all of the surface. And I think that's really successful. I think I really like the way it's done this and how it looks, and I'm going to definitely pursue that again. See this one here, you can hardly see it. It looks really embedded in with these other textures because of that paint layer that's covering all of those elements together. Yes, I do think that was a good idea. And I'm going to experiment with that some more. Now, I want to put this on a canvas because I'm really happy with it. But I don't think I'm going to use the full size like I did last time with the other collage prints. I think I just want to use half of it because I just want to focus on this fabulous section here with the image transfer. So I'm going to use one of these canvases, which is a 12 by 16 inch. And then that's going to go on there, and I'm going to trim off that section there and just use that half. Easy peasy, that's going to work really well. I like to use matte gel medium when I'm gluing these papers on. It seems to hold them easy enough. Haven't had any troubles with it. So that's what I'm going to do. Cut that down there and stick that on this section right on here, and then think about whether or not I want to add any touch-ups, or maybe that bit there. But I really don't want to add anything else to it because I'm just so happy with how it's turned out. I love the colors, I love the texture. The Nat Geo paper works really well with the watery spray texture that I've put on. So now I've got a 12 by 16 inch canvas. I've pulled out my favorite Liquitex matte gel medium and I'm covering it with a good thick layer. Make sure you get right to the edges. I'm scraping it over with a catalyst blade to get the matte medium across the whole surface, but then I like to go over it with a brush, because I can feel then how thick or thin that layer of medium is, and it gets it right to the edges. You have to get right to the edges or else the collage paper peels up, and that's just really annoying. So putting my collage print on the canvas, I like to give it a good pull and tug and stretch it out so that it gets nice and flat and firm on the canvas surface. Give it a good press down. You can then also turn the canvas over and press on it from the back. Now you could weight it with books if you really wanted to, but I haven't found that necessary because the collage itself is on wet strength tissue, which glues down really, really easy. So giving it a firm rub on the back of the canvas after you've given it a firm rub on the front seems to do the trick. Then I like to make sure it's pulled tight and turn that little edge over with the wet strength tissue, glue that down so it's all nice and neat all the way around. And ta-da, ta-da, you've got a beautiful jelly print collage on canvas. Super easy. The hardest part is waiting for those layers to dry before you pull your print. Now that's all glued down and looking fabulous. It's not dry yet, but I'm going to continue anyway. I ended up cutting off this edge. Originally I was going to turn it over, but it was too thick and too stiff, and it would have been too hard to get it to lay down flat. So I snipped it off there. All the other edges, I pulled the wet strength tissue over the sides and glued that down, trying to pull the print on the top a little bit firmer so that it glued down flat without too many air bubbles. I think it's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to use my printed version of the Nat Geo papers for around the sides because they're just easier. The original ones do tend to bleed when you put the matte gel medium on them, so I do like to use my printed version for around the side because it just makes it super, super easy. So I'm going to cover all the sides in these beautiful printed papers, and then I'll have to decide, do I want to add any more to the front, the top of this beautiful collage, or shall I just leave it alone? Right, so my collage is looking fabulous. All the sides are now covered in the beautiful Nat Geo paper that matches the fabulous textures on the front. I gave a little touch up to there, a little spot on there, but really I'm so happy with the whole overall texture and pattern and design that I'm not going to add anything else to it. I've signed it, so it's all ready, and what I'm going to do is leave it for 2 weeks, and then I've decided I'm definitely going to try the liquid glass covering on top. I don't know how that's going to go because I haven't tried it on something so incredibly textured. But it can only not work. We have to try these things. Life is all about being brave, experimenting and expanding your creativity. So I'll leave it for a couple of weeks to make sure all the papers and the matte medium has completely dried, and then we're going to try the idea. Right, so it's been a few weeks now. The beautiful collage will be wonderfully dry, and I'm going to put the liquid glass on it. Now, I've only recently experimented with putting this onto the textured collage surface. Not sure yet if it's a brilliant idea or not, but I'm going to try it. I love the image transfer. I love the shape and texture of the paper, and I love the way you can see these splatters of paint. I think this is a really successful mixed media collage, so I just want to take it to the next level and put a shiny resin-like surface on the top and see how that looks. Now, it may not be a brilliant idea. I may not even like it when it's done, but that's the only way you know if you like something or not, is by actually doing it. And if it doesn't work or it doesn't look any good, well, I won't be doing it again then, will I? I always figure you really don't have too much to lose. You just got to try these things. I mean, if I hated the shiny, glossy resin finish, then I could always put a matte medium over it and knock it back. There's always ways to fix things, so don't be afraid to power on and push forward and try ideas, because then you learn and you grow in your creative expression. And if you have to fix things, well, that's how you learn too. I mean, I only became so incredibly adventurous with my creativity and my art making because in the first few years I made so many mistakes and I messed up so many paintings that I really learned fast how to fix things. So, don't be too hard on yourself. It really is a journey and it's all a development. And even when things go wrong, sometimes that's the only way to learn. Now, that's just a tiny weeny bit too much. I'm quite surprised at how well the liquid glass covers, and I'm really happy because this product is pretty expensive here in beautiful New Zealand. So the fact that it does cover so well makes me so happy. And it is the most closest effect resin-like look that I have found in an acrylic product. Now, it does self-level, which is fabulous, and I do find that if you don't poke at it too much, it's actually better. So have a little look, tilt it to the side, make sure there's not any gaping holes in it, but then basically you just have to leave it alone, let it sit, let it settle, and then I'll show you how absolutely magnificent it's going to look when it's all dry. Oh, I like the way the bronze becomes so much more opulent with the thickness of the shiny surface. The collage has all dried up and look how fabulous it looks. I'm really loving the liquid glass. It is very resin-like. I know it's strange to put something so thick and shiny on paper, but I like it. And that's what matters. The sides look great, all finished with the Nat Geo paper. And I'm just loving all of these textures and colors. The liquid glass really makes the colors stand out beautifully, and you can see all the iridescent bronze that came through from pulling that print. Well, I think this is really successful, and I think I'm going to have to try it again because I've got so many more ideas. I love the way these little pieces are really embedded into the collage. and because of the fabulous layer on paint, it's really created a cohesive composition. It actually turned out better than I thought, and I really love this one. I know this is going to look stunning on the wall. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've been inspired and encouraged, giving you courage to try ideas to explore your mixed media techniques and application. This works really well. You know I'm going to have to do it again. Don't forget, you'll find more information in the description under the video if you want to watch those other videos, if you want to find out the art supplies or where to get the digital papers from, and you can find out more about me on froyalart.com. I hope to see you again next time in the studio.